coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville and 105.1 FM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore, Troy Provo Heron, and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. Florida and Tennessee are set to duel in a huge SEC matchup, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. It's the University of Tennessee Sports Report and the SEC Notebook with volunteer legend Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Today we'll break down the Tennessee-Florida game and take a look at the top games in the Southeastern Conference. Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area, and then Mark It Down with Marcus Fitzsimmons features Maryville High School football. The Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron announces the Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week. Maryville High School girls soccer will be featured. Donnie Moore and the panel discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Goatee Sports Page spotlight shines on some of the prime college football games from across the land, and we'll take a look at this week's top 10. And finally, the panel gives their bold predictions for the week and then offers any final thoughts. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, an SEC Notebook featuring former UT coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. These two segments are sponsored by our good friends at Klein Dental Arts and the Cherokee Group. Good morning to all of you, and let's take talk some UT football. Coach Trail, last Saturday night the Tennessee Vols destroyed Akron 63-6. I thought Ball State might be the worst team on the Volunteer schedule, but it didn't take Akron long to win that title. Tennessee jumped to number 11 in the latest AP polls. And I guess one of the good things that getting rid of Akron is that we've only got one more dog to kick around, and that's UT Martin, Coach Trail, but not much of a test for UT last Saturday night.
No, I just don't think that.
Go ahead.
I just don't think that we gained anything by. I can't believe they jumped us up after beating a team like that, and my philosophy has always been, I like to play some good teams early, prepare me for the conference. But obviously, when you jump somebody up after beating a team that is absolutely no good,
yep.
I
Well, the good part about it was they were a 47.5-point favorite, and they covered that spread without any trouble whatsoever. They took care of business, and you got to hand it to them for doing that. Sellout crowd was on hand. I think that was a real tribute to this football team with who they were going up against, and they got these fans excited around here, and they beat Pittsburgh in overtime up at Pitt, and they got the 2 wins here at home the last couple of weeks, and now we go into the SEC schedule. we've got Florida today, and we've got LSU coming up in a couple of weeks down in Baton Rouge, and this game against Florida today is huge. And when you look at it on paper, Coach Trail, there isn't anything on paper that tells me that Florida should win this football game, and I think a lot of people feel the same way around this area. But you got to still go on the field and play the game.
That's what, sports writers and people like that can forecast and do all those things, but you got to play the game. And I hope we hadn't. Well, I hope we hadn't got ourselves backed in a hole here. And you got to play every game every Saturday. This forecasting and all these, you see these people, we're going to be 9-2, we're going to be this, that, and that. You got to play the game.
Yep.
And that's what people don't understand. It's just like sellout crowd for the last week's game. Why, I wouldn't have wasted my money to go over there and watch that game. But, I guess they got plenty of money.
Well, in defense of the program, and everybody around the country is doing the same thing. I look at Ball State. I look at Georgia's schedule next year. Next year, I think Ball State's on there. UConn's on. They're just sort of They're sort of making the rounds in the Southeastern Conference, and everybody is doing that. And that's just the.
Well, it's all over the country.
Yeah, everywhere. There's 3 games that they're putting in there that they. I guess they got a great chance of winning.
Well, what they've done is you win 6 games and you go to a bowl game.
Bowl game, yeah.
I mean, we're
and they don't want to lose any momentum early going into the league play, and certainly Tennessee has not lost any momentum whatsoever going into this Florida game today. Troy, how big a game is this for Tennessee today against Florida?
I think it's an opportunity to exercise 2 decades of demons, right? I mean, you're right, Mike. You look on paper, you look at how the teams have just kind of settled out to this point through 3 games in the season. You feel much better about Tennessee than you do about Florida right now. Florida's got quarterback issues, offense issues, couldn't stop the run last week against USF, which is, to me, very troubling. And Tennessee, regardless of what anybody wants to say about who they've played, they've looked good doing it. And so you feel as if you're Tennessee, that you have an opportunity to do something you've only done once in 16 years, and that's beat Florida, go 4-0, and get going toward a pretty good season.
Yeah. Tennessee has played Pittsburgh, and they played Akron, and then the one other and Ball State. Florida, Coach Trail, has played Utah, one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah.
And Utah, they're saying, probably will not lose another game. I mean, that's what they're saying. Kentucky, number 8 in the country, they played them. They didn't win that game.
Yeah.
They pretty well. Florida shot themselves in the foot. They threw a bad pass for an interception right there late, and that pretty well sealed the deal. And then they played South Florida. So what I'm saying is Florida's been tested. Have they not a little bit more than Tennessee's been tested here early or not?
Well, I would say by schedule, yes. That they've played a little. The thing is, it's hard when you beat a team 63-0 or whatever it is. It's hard to get you guys back down to ground level, so to speak. And that's our problem is that, we still hadn't played anybody.
Coach Trail, you were over there and I was over there, and the football coaches and the basketball coaches always used to tell us it's not very far from the penthouse to the outhouse.
That's
we've
right.
got a situation here, and we've been in this situation as coaches and players. You were in it as a player at Arkansas. You're hearing all this hype. Oh, we're going to beat Florida, and everybody in towns. Oh, this is the year. We're going to do it. Sometimes that can work against you a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't it?
Oh, yeah. They act like that Florida is a nobody, I mean, but basically we have not played anybody that's in the top 25.
But Troy is absolutely correct. We've played well. We played well, and we took care of business, and that's what we needed to do. I wouldn't say we played real well against Pitt, which was a pretty good football. The second half, we didn't really play very well offensively against Pittsburgh.
But, I mean, there you go. Everybody has wishes or fishes. We wouldn't have, we'd have to have a bigger net.
Yeah.
But you got to play the game.
Yeah.
And you got to take every game as they come along.
Exactly.
And you've got to.
We're not Georgia.
No.
We can't count on them every week. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Every week for us
we're
is
not Alabama.
a big game.
We're
I mean, you make a few mistakes and you can lose the game.
We're trying to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Troy, Florida has beaten Tennessee 16 out of 17 times. I got to ask you this question because, we're like this with a few teams. Mm-hmm. We're like this with Kentucky, and we're like this with Vanderbilt. We just feel like, hey, we own
Not
these
nearly
teams.
as bad with Vanderbilt.
We count these games. Does Florida come in here? I heard it from a former player last week. He was talking, a UT former player, football player, said, well, it looks like this game looks like we've got this game. And he says, you gotta look at Florida's mentality. Their mentality is they own us.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different mentality when you go against somebody with that feeling than it is to go into a game that Florida just feels like this is a game they own.
I tell you,
Troy?
I think that is possible, but I think if I'm Florida, I don't feel that way considering that I'm a field goal away from getting beat by USF last week. Like, I think Florida understands that it has some serious things that it has to fix heading into today's matchup to feel like they own the game.
Yep.
Florida shouldn't feel like they own the game against anybody right now the way they've played football the last 2 weeks.
Yep. Well, Coach Trail, they should have a little bit of incentive because they're coming in as a 10-point underdog. At least 10.5-point underdog. That would give me a little of incentive right there.
That would give you a lot of incentive.
Yeah.
Would give you a lot of incentive.
Yeah.
And I like to see Tennessee do well, but I don't count these games that we're playing. I just have a hard time with that. And how does that prepare you to play Georgia and Alabama and people like that? Makes your kids have a false security.
Well,
but Georgia and Alabama also play the same games.
I think you can get a good read by watching the early part of the game and their quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
He didn't play very well against Kentucky. He didn't play very well against South Florida. He played a really good game against Utah. He's capable of beating you with the run, which has hurt Tennessee in the past. If he doesn't go early, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the whole situation.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think our quarterback has played much better than their quarterback by far. But you still, I hate to play a quarterback that can run like he can, because it really messes up your defense.
Yep.
And you have to be on your toes all the time because that guy can go all the way at any time.
Yep.
And somebody makes a mistake, but we're going to have to play a good game. I'll tell you that right now. We go out there and fiddle Florida around, we could get beat in this game.
Yep.
And you have to look at this game just like if you're playing Alabama or you're playing playing Georgia or whoever, you better go in there to play.
This is a huge game for this program. Make no mistake about it.
That's exactly
Tennessee,
right.
This could be a springboard for them the rest of the year in a program that they're trying to get back to a certain level.
Right.
Is this the Tennessee-Florida game that you and I and a lot of us used to know when Spurrier and Fulmer were going?
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No.
It's just not the same because back in those days, those teams were fighting for number one in the country.
Yeah.
This game was a lot bigger, but the hype for this game this week kind of matches what those games were as far as the fans. It's kind of an odd feeling, really.
It's really counting your ducks before they hatch.
Yeah.
But it's the next game.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
the next step on the ladder.
That's exactly right. And you've got to convince your kids that this is just a step. This is not the final
It's not
deal.
the end.
I agree with that, but I personally think it's absurd to think that the hype isn't warranted for this one. If Tennessee wins, they're a top 10 team in the country.
No, I'm not saying the hype is not worth the game. What I'm saying is the meaning of the game compared to the series back when Spurrier and Fulmer were going for number one in the country, neither one of these teams are playing for number one in the country today. That's what I'm saying. Most of these teams are playing for respectability in the SEC and trying to make that step up to challenge Georgia.
I'm just saying there's nothing respectable about being top 10. you can't get to number 1 without getting into the top 10
Well,
first. Tennessee has a lot to play for today.
But in the past, these teams were already in the top 10 when this game was played. They were like 1 and 2 in the country or 2 and 3 in the country.
That's
right. A little bit different than where we're at today. Still a huge game.
It's a huge game.
Huge game. Troy, what does Florida have for them going into this game today? What does Florida have to hang their hat on going in?
That's a really good question. It's just you look at them the last 2 weeks, and they seem like a very disjointed football team. And I don't know. You mentioned Anthony Richardson running the football, but he only ran it 7 times last week against South Florida. I think he's a little banged up. Florida doesn't really feel very confident in their backup quarterback situation. They're not running him. So part of what makes Anthony Richardson so good, they're not able to utilize. They're a pretty young team with a bunch. They kind of remind me a little bit of what Tennessee was last year, where they have so many different guys plugged in from a coaching change and all that stuff. And
well, it is the same thing because this is a new coach.
And they got a whole different situation. And like I said, they didn't stop the run last week against USF. That's problematic. They rank last in the SEC in pass deflections. That's problematic against Tennessee. I don't want to sit here and sound like Florida's a bad football team, because they're a top 20 team in the country for a reason. But when you look at it on paper, statistically, they don't have much going for them today in Neyland Stadium.
Coach Trail, one thing they do have is they've got athletes.
Oh,
they got athletes out there now. Troy's right. They haven't gelled in a lot of areas. They haven't gelled on the defense. They're not very good up front against the run, for one thing. And they're not very good in the secondary either. I mean, those are 2 big ifs. As far as this team goes. And of course, they do have the new coach, but. After a couple of days, and I hate to go back to it, they have some things to prove.
Oh, yeah.
And the loss to Kentucky, that didn't set very well. So, there are some things that, they do have going for them that maybe people don't realize, huh?
Oh, I think they got things going for them. Who'd they play second game, the first game? Utah?
They played Utah, yeah.
They were number 3 or 4 or 5 in the country.
They were top 10.
Yeah, and so, I mean – that they have that advantage of playing some good teams, and Kentucky is a good team, and that's. I think in these kind of games you throw all that out the window, because it's going to be who wants to win the game, and that's what it's going to come down. You can talk about the winning, the losing, the whatever it is. Florida's got a bunch of great athletes. Always have, always do have them. And you can never tell when you're going to have a breakout by some of these guys.
Right.
And I just, I think Tennessee will win the ball game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer game than what people think.
Yeah.
They think they're going to just go in there and kill them, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, if they do, I'm going to feel a whole lot better about this football team. If that score's 38-14 or 42-20 or some deal like that,
Oh, yeah,
but,
I agree.
That could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but let's talk about Tennessee, Troy. They got a lot going for them. It's a chance to beat another ranked team, be their second team in 4 weeks that they beat that's ranked. They got the home field advantage. A lot of people there. Checkerboard Stadium.
College game day.
They got the best quarterback in Hendon Hooker. There's no doubt. He's the guy. And they got a chance to go 4-0 before they got to go to a bye week, and they'll have 2 weeks to get ready to go to Baton Rouge to play LSU. So they got some things going for them too, huh?
A lot of good things, and I think you drive here today to this radio show and you see the traffic, and we're talking about 6 hours before game time. Like, the energy is there today, and there is. I think I've talked to a lot of Tennessee fans this week. There's a lot of that small feeling of I'll believe it when I see it, but there's a lot to be excited about. And again, like I said, it just kind of feels like today is the day Tennessee kind of gets to exercise some demons and kind of put its flag back on college football's national landscape. Sure. It kind of feels like today is that day.
Which team, Troy, has got the most pressure on them going in, Tennessee or Florida?
Tennessee. And I think that's a weird position to say, but I think Tennessee has to win this game. I think you're right, Mike. Like, all the things you talk about on paper, this and that, all that stuff is great. But if Tennessee loses this game today, it's going to sting, and it's going to sting for a very long time. It's going to be hard to get up off the mat for that one. And so you got today is a big game for Tennessee. It's also a must-win game
because you're looking. After this one, you're looking at LSU, you're looking at Alabama, you're looking at Kentucky, and I think UT Martin's thrown in there somewhere.
And then Georgia.
And then you got Georgia, and that's man, you're into the swamp now. I mean, you're in there after today. You don't want to go in there 0-1 with that hanging over you. Coach Trail, what's the keys to the game?
Control the ball. I think you got to control the ball. And Florida is very capable of scoring points. And the thing that scares me the most is the quarterback from Florida is one heck of a runner. And he's made more yards running than most people. But you gotta control the game. And I hope Tennessee will not try to fast-pace the thing. And I hope they will just take their time and run their plays correctly and stop trying to fool people and outsmart people. You got to play the game. And, it's worst thing you could have is get behind in this game. And I know Tennessee, they can score. But I'm telling you, we're primed to get beat because we have not really played anybody very good, and I don't know where we are. And I mean, you can't count on your quarterback running the ball all the time, or they'll carry him off the field. We can't afford for Hooker to get hurt.
Yeah,
we cannot afford that.
Troy, a couple of stats that I'm looking at right now compared to last year is that on the defense we're giving up 14.3 points per game. That's down from 29 points a game last year. We're allowing 23.9% opponent conversions on third down, and that's down from 42.1% last year. So that's been remarkably improved. So I guess my question to you is the defense getting better, or is it the result of the schedule?
I think a little bit of both, but I think, I was in Neyland last week, and I think, they're a decent defense. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're, world beaters or anything like that, but I think they are much better than they were a year ago. Jeremy Banks flies all over the football field. He's like a crazy man, and I do think they are a better defense than they were a year ago, and I didn't think they were a bad defense per se last year. So I think you feel good about their defense. Now, do you think that Tennessee's defense is ever going to win them a football game? No, but that's not what you brought Josh Heupel in here to do in the first place. You're going to have to win by scoring points, and Tennessee knows that. But I feel good about their defense.
Yeah. Say this: they did not give the game away against Pitt. And UT defense a year ago or 2 years ago would have given that game away against Pitt.
You could argue that Tennessee's defense won that game against Pitt, actually. You could.
That was Marcus Fitzsimmons, and he's been caught in all that UT traffic, obviously.
Thanks,
he's a little
game
bit
day.
lazy. Yeah. So.
Well, when we get to the scoreboard, I'll explain my lateness here.
Marcus was he was the one who ushered Tony Vitello to the game day stage, and then he had to run over here.
Let me get you on the question schedule here, Marcus. Injuries to wide receiver Cedric Tillman and Jabari Small. I guess Jabari's been taking snaps all week. Looks like he's probably going to go. Cedric Tillman, we don't know. And then we've got
Cedric Tillman's out.
He's out.
Yes.
Okay, well that takes care of that situation. He hadn't practiced all week. I would assume that he was not going to play, but they lost another receiver in Jimmy Callaway, at least for the first half for fighting Marcus. How concerned are you about receivers?
Is there a deeper position number-wise on Tennessee's team?
Than receiver.
They've got a lot of guys that can go out there. They don't have as many that have proven they can make a play when they need them to, and I think that's the biggest concern. But you've got a possibility developing for another number one threat that we'll see today how good they're really going to be.
Yeah.
And we're going to see also who's going to step up to be that number 2 or 3 guy, because it's next man up at the receivers right now.
Okay.
Brew McCoy showed some flashes. I thought
Fair
Squirrel
enough.
White looked pretty decent against Akron a couple weeks ago.
I thought
last
Brew is
week.
showing a lot of progress
Yep.
in the way he's developed so far
Yeah.
over 3 games.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Coach Trail on this. You got Cedric Tillman, was their main guy, and you got Jimmy Callaway, that is going to be out, and so my question is, you're going to play some other guys, and Marcus is saying they got to step up. How much does that affect the timing with the quarterback, and so forth, when you got different guys in there that hadn't been in there as much?
I tell you, the thing that concerns me is not the passing game, it's the running game. If you can't run the ball and you let people just line up over there and come after you, you've got to run the football some way. Receivers, receivers come and go. The guy gets hurt, another guy steps up. He can catch the ball. I mean, he can do the same thing. Just the thing is what you said. The timing may not be as good, and it may take him a while to kind of get in sync with those receivers against live action. And that's another thing that hurts you a lot of times, is you don't get enough live action in practice. Running around out there in a pair of shorts and catching the ball is not what you're going to get in the game.
Yeah.
Mike, if there's one thing that's going to concern me today, and if you're not watching us direct and you're watching your TV, you can see this. Josh Heupel shaved today. He's clean shaven on SportsCenter this morning, and that's a concern, because that man has not been clean shaven for a game yet.
Yeah. Well,
Marcus reads into all the little things.
If you're going,
they used to say those little things is what wins games.
this is baseball. You don't mess with the streak.
Well, boy, that's a different take on the game there.
Yeah, we should have hit that first. What were we waiting on? Huh?
How could we miss that?
I'm telling you right now. Why do we waste our time on all this other stuff?
Mike, you led into it because you talked about the hype and getting off your rhythm and the things that can happen when you've got all this hype and other hoopla going on besides the football game. That's a sign of something.
Yeah. Troy, game days on campus. They're already on TV. We can see them right here in the where we're broadcasting. The game's a 3:30 start. They're going to get national exposure all day today. Tennessee is. How big is this in the scheme of things?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest game in college football today. I think, again.
I don't know.
I think
Texas A&M and Arkansas.
Tennessee plays this right, and I don't know what the recruiting list looks like, but if Tennessee has a good day today, you might see the results of this
Tomorrow.
24 and 25 before you see where the impact of this might come up. Where Troy's writing a column about such and such receiver who decided to commit on this visit.
Yeah. Well, next question. If we come out of this game, play well, look good, we're 4-0, we got the week off. That gives everybody 2 weeks to, drink the Kool-Aid or whatever they're doing, getting ready for LSU. Do you see that LSU game based on today being a 3:30 contest on CBS?
Based on what LSU does, I mean, have they looked very impressive to this point? I don't know.
Here's what LSU's got ahead of them. Of course, they lost the non-conference game to Florida State, and they got I think they play New Mexico or somebody at home today. They're going to take care of business there. That'll put them at.
That kind of strikes me as a 7 o'clock start for Tennessee LSU. Guess.
That'll put them at 3-1, and then they go to Auburn next week, which is a very winnable game. So you're looking at a undefeated Tennessee team and possibly an LSU team with one loss.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I don't know the rest of the SEC schedule, so I don't know if I'm inclined to answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I thought LSU made a heck of a lot of change from that Florida State game. They look a lot more in sync now than they did.
Yeah,
I
think they're going to continue to get better.
They got players. I tell you
after
that.
this one, we don't want to look ahead, but that's the next really big game.
And it's down there, which is my Lord.
And then you get that one, then you can start thinking about how are we going to play against Georgia? How are we going to play against Alabama? And we got Kentucky at home. Things are looking up. So a lot of football to be played, but. want to mention before we get out of here that the Tennessee's 2023 football schedule has been announced last week.
Oh,
They've
my gosh.
got SEC games against Florida, South Carolina, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is going to be coming here. Alabama is away. South Carolina's at home. Florida is away. Kentucky's away. And then they got Missouri, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. So I tell you what, that's a pretty good-looking SEC schedule with Texas A&M coming in there for LSU.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be, gaining any give-me's as far as that's concerned. I don't think there's really very many give-me's at all over in the West anyway when you're playing it. And then their outside opponent would be Virginia, and then their 3 games are Austin Peay, University of Texas of San Antonio, which is Troy's real high on them, and then UConn. So I think it's a respectable schedule next year, and the SEC slate looks just as strong, if not stronger, next year because we're going to be replacing a quarterback. Is that correct next year?
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker will be out.
He'll be graduating.
So we're going to be replacing a quarterback going down to Florida. So, I don't want to get ahead of everything, but this game does not indicate that, I don't think, in my opinion, that Tennessee's back in any way. It just represents the next step if they get the win.
They're climbing the ladder.
They're climbing the ladder. Yeah. Okay. We got to get out of here, right, Donnie?
We got
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time to turn the page, and next up is the local scoreboard and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially. Join us now. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard brought to you by Donnie Moore. This segment is sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Donnie Moore, a lot of high school football last night. Nobody in the county was at home. Nobody. Everybody was on the road. Alcoa was home there on Thursday night, played an outstanding West team, and I know you're going to talk a little bit about that. So
yeah, that's.
I'll turn it over to you, Guy.
It was a great game. It was a Thursday night rivalry game. Had Channel 8 WVLT out there to broadcast that game over the television airwaves, and it was Alcoa took one on the chin. Their first loss of the season. 29-26 was the final score. And Knox West is a good football
They are.
team.
I was really impressed with them. I think that those two teams are both outstanding, and
They are.
they were very evenly matched. And, of course, it was a heartbreaking loss for Alcoa because they were right down there knocking on the door with about 20 seconds to go.
Yeah.
You know, I think they were on the 8-yard line. And
got one picked off.
Got one picked off. It was a good play on the defense. It was kind of a jump ball pass.
It was.
And I think that was the play. You know, they had a good-sized receiver, Alcoa did, and it just didn't. Maybe the ball was a little bit underthrown, or maybe a little bit low, and West made the play, and that was the difference there at the end.
Yeah, their starting quarterback Zach Lunsford was out with he took a hard shot over on the sideline on the other side. And Eli Graff was in at quarterback, and I tell you, Eli Graff, they don't have anything to worry about at quarterback. Eli Graff's a sophomore, and he's a comer.
Future's in really good hands.
Yeah, it really is.
He was impressive, and the time became a factor down there.
It
I'm
did.
sure that Alcoa would have probably ran the ball a couple of times, but, you know, when you got a 20-second, or maybe it was less than that, it might have been around 15 or 14 seconds.
Didn't have much
when
time
they ran
left
that
on
play.
the clock.
They didn't have much time, so the play calling was limited.
Yeah,
so it was
really
it went
was.
right down to the wire. Great football game.
Oh, fabulous
and
football
that game has been on Thursday night for the last few years. It's been probably the best game that they've had all season.
Could have been the best football game in the state right there.
Well, you could have been looking at two state champions.
Well, still could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
right. Yeah. So it ended up 29-26 in favor of Knox West. And you're right. Those could be your 3A and 5A state champions.
I'd bet my money on it.
I wouldn't. I'd take that bet. You're right. Last night's action, Greenback traveled to Loudon, and Loudon is a perennial 3A state contender. Of course, they run into Alcoa a little bit later on, and that may be their downfall. But Loudon won that one 48-20 over Greenback. Loudon's tough.
They really are.
They're a good football team.
And they were a good team last year.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, this is back-to-back years for them, and that program down there has done real well.
They sure have.
But
they sure have.
Unfortunately, they're in the same deal with Alcoa.
That's true. But Greenback fell at the hands of Loudon last night, 48-20. Heritage hosted Seymour last night.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
They really beat down on Marcus's Eagles.
Let me say this morning,
Go ahead, Mark.
before we get into talking about what a barn fire that was, that if you're going through Seymour this morning, go ahead and make sure you come up Chapman Highway and hit the intersection. Seymour Volunteer Fire Department's doing their Boots and Helmet fundraiser where you can drop money out the window. So that may help tamper down the flames the Mountaineers lit last night.
Well, they did. They lit up the scoreboard last night. Won that one 55-0. Wow,
Talk
55
about
points.
And I know
55 on the Eagles.
One of the big things Heritage talked about all week was obviously they let one slip away last week against Knoxville Central.
They
and
did.
Learning how to win, learning how to close out games. Boy, did they close out that game last night. 14-0. They throw a pick, get it right back, and then just pummeled Seymour the rest of the night. And some historical notes. It's the largest margin of victory in Heritage football history.
Wow.
And the second most points they've ever scored in program history.
Fantastic. Congratulations to the Mountaineers and Coach Joe Ossovet.
3-3.
Yeah, broke back on even ground
And
last night.
who do they have
so
next week, Will?
They have Knoxville West. It'll be tough.
Good luck with that one. Yeah,
It'll be tough.
West is a good football team.
Well,
Maryville traveled last night, hit the road, went up to Johnson City to play the Hilltoppers. And
On Steve
the
Spurrier Field.
the Hilltoppers did not get to the top of the hill last night. They bogged down short of the top.
The Rebels gave Tennessee a really good omen
Yeah,
today,
they did.
beating Science Hill as bad as they did on Steve Spurrier Field.
Only scored 2 touchdowns last night, and Maryville put up 42 in return. So 42-14 against Science Hill last night. Congratulations to the Rebels. TKA, Kings Academy, played a JV contest on Thursday, another one on Thursday. They were scheduled to have an open date, but decided to go ahead and play one. Why not? They could play a JV contest against Eagleton College and Career Academy, who are scheduled to go full-blown varsity next year. So they played a JV contest against Eagleton College and Career Academy and won that one 36-28. A lot of scoring in that contest.
And that seems like a really good matchup.
Yeah.
Well, you may know better, but if I'm not wrong, both those schools can use 8th graders.
Yes.
They can.
And
Yeah.
with those JV games,
Same
you're looking
campus.
at a lot of 8th grade and freshmen playing.
Sure.
So that would probably be a really good, interesting matchup.
I
for them.
believe they are trying to get it scheduled as a varsity game next year. If that is
Yeah.
if my understanding is
I
correct.
think you're right because they can, so they're ready to go varsity next year. That'd be interesting, exciting for Eagleton College and Career. And William Blount traveled to Sevier County, played the Smoky Bears last night, and William Blount put up a touchdown. They scored.
Well,
4-7.
there's a positive way to spin it.
Yeah, indeed. But Sevier County put up 43, so 43-7. Smoky Bears versus Governors last night.
Donnie, you're the most positive guy on the show, I think. Don't you think, Coach Trail?
Some people would have let off with there was a bear mauling last night and the governor died, but no.
William Blount should probably spend.
So-
And I mean this in the nicest way possible because I really want to see the Govs win a game this year. Spend the
Yeah, I do too.
spend the next 3 weeks preparing for Hardin Valley. That's your best shot.
Yeah, really. But that was 43-7 in favor of the Smoky Bears last night.
And most all of those teams that William Blount is playing are having good years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not that
they are. No, it's a
Yeah,
tough.
they haven't been
tough
playing
road to hoe for the
haven't been
Governors.
playing anybody that's struggling.
No.
So
Not so far. Well, that's it for the local scoreboard. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down.
Well, thanks, Donnie. But
You're
before
welcome.
we've got guests this morning, but before we do, I'm going to throw some trivia back at you. We're going to go a little bit old school.
Have at it.
So here's my question for you: what do Coppertone 8, Noah Vaughn, and French fries have in common?
Wow, that's random. That's a random trio.
I want to know how
Coppertone
late
8,
Marcus stayed up working
French
on this
fries
one.
and Noah Vaughn.
And Coppertone 8.
That's Coppertone 8, French fries and Noah Vaughn.
Name 3 things likely to leave greasy spots on Steve Spurrier.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Well, and that's my segue, as poor as it was, into introducing some Maryville Rebels who are joining us this morning after that 42-14 win at Science Hill on Steve Spurrier Field. We've got offensive line Cal Grubbs, linebacker Peyton Cooper joining us this morning. Guys, thanks for making the trip in. Must have been a late arrival getting back from Johnson City last night.
Yes, sir.
Interesting game. I mean, Science Hill didn't just roll over. You all had to work, put in some time on that last night. So, Cal, I'll start with you. One thing we saw was Noah Vaughn going north and south last night, and it sounded like he had some big holes to run behind.
Yeah, he did.
What was working for you guys last night on the line? Because you were making some room.
I mean, we're just doing what we're coached to do, taking our right steps, taking our reads, keeping our eyes up on the backers. We were getting a whole bunch of movement on that D-line, and I think that caused some big holes for Noah.
Well, I'm looking at it, and you all had a close to 200 yards rushing, ran it 37 times. That means you're making some progress, and it wasn't a team that was just you were outsized. It was a pretty good matchup. So scheme-wise, was this something where you all were looking to run early and get that kind of settled down and be able to run the ball being on the road and being up there at Science Hill?
We were kind of doing a little bit of that. We were trying to work on our passing game as well, getting Matthew comfortable with letting the ball loose, trying to make the easy passes, getting some gains, and then bringing on a run game with it.
And Peyton, you all were stopping them pretty well. Couple big plays where the defense kind of shut them down early and kind of kept them from getting any momentum. I know the defense never wants to give up anything, but you had to feel good about the way you all were playing, especially the first half.
Yes, sir. We played great, I felt like. They had one long touchdown against our ones. It was a great scheme by the offense. They run a quarterback zone, which was weird. They blocked right zone and then ran the zone to the left. The quarterback kept it, and it was a nice play.
So, defensively, did you all feel like you were taking another step forward from last week, where you saw a couple scores over the last couple of weeks we wouldn't expect to usually see longer drives, but it seemed like Science Hill there was none of that really going on.
Oh, for sure. Last week I feel like we played great. Our defense, really stepped it up on those crucial 4th and 1s. But this week I feel like we got after them really fast, and I think it was really well improved from last week.
What was the biggest challenge for you all from the linebacker wise? Did Science Hill present the challenge as far as stopping the run or dropping back to have to cover a lot of receivers?
It was probably the zone option they ran. It was a difficult formation when they run a minus formation. It was hard because that number 5, he's a good athlete. So just keying on him, reading the two backs was a little difficult.
So you all felt good about. So what does this team feel? I mean, what do y'all feel about this season so far? You've had that loss to Alcoa, but I'm assuming that's in the rearview mirror and it's just looking forward at this point. But what are y'all looking at this point? Because it's going to be October. What's the goal for finishing off this regular season?
I would say probably pouring the goal to our region games, finishing off as region champions this year, and then focusing on 1 week at a time playoffs. How about you?
I mean, just what Peyton said. I know for offense, last night really showed what we can really do. I think it was kind of a turning point for us, being able to get the knockout punches going. And then just keep on working with that as the weeks go by, working week by week, trying to win the region, be region champs, and then work on the playoffs.
Well, I don't want to overlook anybody for y'all, but we were talking earlier. You all were sitting here during the scoreboard. West knocks off Alcoa. They're somebody that's going to be popping up on Maryville's schedule fairly shortly here. Not to say you're looking ahead, but are you all looking forward to playing that game again? Because it was a heck of a game last year. It was just this far away from being as good as the Alcoa matchup with them last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really looking forward to this game. Kind of show what we can really do. I mean, we got to play our best game, of course, against West. They're a really good team, but I think we can go out there and beat them. Do
you all have goals in mind as to what you want to do with that game? Like, besides getting the win, is there we need to be able to do this for later on in the year to show that we can do that?
Oh yeah. As a defensive standpoint, we don't want them to score at all. They're a great offense, phenomenal defense, but I feel like improvement to the week with a lot of film study. We don't want them to score at all. I feel like that's a goal that we can accomplish.
Troy, you've watched these guys play a little bit. You want to chip in a little bit with where Maryville's going at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know what these two guys think about, circling week 14 on that calendar, but they got a long way to go to get there. And Coach Hunt would probably say the same thing if he were here. But Cal, I did have a question for you. The last 3 years, this offense has been such a well-oiled machine, whether it be Cade Chambers at quarterback and oh, come on, Troy, you know it. Carson Jones, there we go. That's awful. Just y'all have been so good offensively. Just maybe how tough was it the first 5 weeks of the season to not be that crisp, and how good did it feel last night to finally feel like y'all have the last 3 years? I
mean, yeah, it kind of sucked through the first 5 weeks, not being able to be like our balanced offense that we usually are. I mean, last night we were really able to do both our passing and run game, which will definitely help for later on the season because we need both. We can't just run it every single play against these better teams as the year goes on. We got to be able to get the ball into Matthew's hands and make these make these good passes.
You're one of the leaders on this offense. What has kind of your message been to Matthew throughout this season?
I mean, just for him gaining his confidence with this. I know coming from William Blount, no shade to them. He was constantly under pressure. I think with us, we can get him that time in the pocket, help him build his confidence, make those short passes, make those long passes, big plays as well. Yeah.
Peyton, when we talked before the season, you told me that you thought this could be the best defense in the state. And I know y'all have probably given up a few more points than you would like to. I know you'd like to see a lot of zeros on the board. But to this point in the season, y'all have been the group that's kind of led y'all to these victories. Just how good does that group feel at the moment? And do you feel as though y'all are kind of living up to what you kind of put out there before the start of the season?
Yeah, definitely. We have high expectations for ourselves. We don't always put on zeros on the board, but when it comes to those crucial downs, the 3rd and 1s, the 4th and 1s, 3rd and 20s, like we put a stop on it. I feel like moving forward in the bigger games like Week 14 is going to play a big factor in holding off that offense, and I feel like we can do it.
Derek has talked a lot about the last 2 weeks about just like some teams need that loss as a wake-up call or something that kind of changes the tide for y'all. Have y'all seen a noticeable difference in that locker room on the practice field on Friday nights after that Alcoa loss?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's been a big change. It was a humbling moment for us. We were kind of big-headed going into the game, not expecting to win, but knew it was going to be a hard-fought battle, and kind of put us in our place a little bit. It was a good team, but I feel like the whole thing has changed in that locker room. We really take it week by week. We consider everybody, and we're just here to play.
Cal?
I've seen everyone's energy change at practice. Every single practice has been high energy. Everyone's working harder. It was a tough loss against Alcoa and very humbling. It kind of put our minds right, ready to go out and take it week by week, working super hard. One of the hardest working Maryville teams I've been on, I think, these past couple weeks after the Alcoa loss. It's just been great.
Cal, how is it? Can you talk about how it's gone from when you all went back into the locker room after the Alcoa loss to where you were last night? That's a 2-week progression. How has the team's kind of changed its attitudes over those 2 weeks?
Coming in after the loss against Alcoa, we were all pretty mad about it. I think they kind of wanted it more, and it showed. But we're not letting that happen anymore. Everyone's attitude has changed completely. We're all wanting that. We're all wanting the win week by week. Everyone's mindset has changed at practice. Everyone's ready to get out there and work. So,
I'm going to toss out some numbers here.
Fire away.
And I'm going to give my shout out to Ken Main, who's always been my favorite stat guy and Mr. Reliable. But after last night, Maryville has a 1,000-yard rusher with Noah Vaughn having 124 carries for 1,005 yards and 10 touchdowns. Also crossing 1,000 yards last night, Matthew Clemmer, 94 for 135 and 1,044 yards this year with 12 TDs. And then receiving-wise, we want to give out that Gage Ledoux is at 307 yards, Zeke McCoy is at 251, and Vaughn is also at 222 yards receiving. Sounds like this Maryville offense you don't get balanced in one game, but it sounds like if you look at just the numbers, that Maryville is very, very balanced at this point, and you're offensively able to do some things either way. But I got from a lineman's perspective, when you have somebody like Noah running behind you, it's got to feel like I want to finish this block off and get this guy down so I can look and see how far he goes. Is that kind of the attitude when you got him behind you?
Yeah, it is. He gives us a whole bunch of confidence being up there on the O-line. He makes us right. We just stay on our tracks, and we're ready for the play and to see where he ends up at. It's always fun to see how many yards he gains on each play.
Well, guys, we appreciate both of you coming in this morning. Like I said, I know it was a late night by the time you got back here after that game, so getting up on Saturday morning, we greatly appreciate it. best of luck the rest of the season. We hope we can bring Maryville back in some more because, we'll cross our fingers that you got 14 or 15 games to play this season.
Yes, sir.
So best of luck again, and thanks for coming in. And Mike, we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Thanks, Marcus. We'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron announces the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered, velvety caramel macchiato, a rich, chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy, non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app, plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember,
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron. So, Troy, I'm going to turn it over to you, guy.
Yeah, we're joined by Maryville girls soccer goalkeeper and our Player of the Week, Kate Winkert, and Taylor Hogue. And Kate, I have to start with you because you have arguably the biggest play of Maryville soccer season so far. With that penalty kick save against Farragut on Thursday, and we talked about it on Thursday, but just kind of what is a goalkeeper's mentality when that kid drops the ball, lines it up, and you're kind of the last defense to try and preserve a 1-0 lead there?
It's exciting, but it's also, really nerve-wracking because, again, the odds are against you in that, and it's like a 10% chance that you're going to save that. And the forwards mentality there is like, I have to get this in, and it's just as nerve-wracking for them because if they miss it, it's out for them, and that's that. And as a keeper, you have to make a guess regardless of the shot, and if you wait too long, it most likely will go in.
Is there a certain level of excitement when she kicks it, you guess, and it happens to be the right side of the guess? Just kind of what goes through your head as you're kind of falling to the ground there?
It's very exciting. There's that split second where you just hold your breath and you, like, it's a save. Like, it's when I've looked back at the video, it's kind of like how I practice at just like during like warm-ups or just practicing. Like, you're just getting a kick and guessing. Like, I've realized that I just need to take it in with confidence and just relax a little bit because it's something that I've been doing almost like my whole like soccer career. Yeah.
Taylor, you're on the pitch for that moment as well. Just kind of what is your excitement level when she gets the save there?
I had 100% confidence in her. She looked steady on the line, like she knew what she was doing. And Lauren, she's a really good player, and she's on my club team, and she takes all of our penalty kicks, so I know that she's actually very good at taking penalty kicks. But I had 100% confidence in Kate, and especially when she chose the right side and she went to the right side. I actually had like a moment of shock where I was just standing there, and then I realized I was like, uh-oh, gotta go, like, get the rebound. But yeah, I had 100% confidence in her that she was gonna get it.
Kate, Coach Steve Feather, he said, obviously it's a big save, but Kate played an amazing match, the entire match, and really was part of the reason why we beat Farragut. Just what did it mean for your coach to kind of put the praise on you and kind of give you the credit for that win?
It feels good,
yeah.
Especially like as a defense person, when most of the time and like focus goes towards our forwards. Like, our forwards are really good, and I'm super thankful for them. Getting the like praise for a game is like super rewarding.
Taylor, I want to talk about just kind of the big picture of that game. Obviously, I know y'all aren't afraid of Bearden per se, but you would like to play them in a district championship as opposed to a district semifinal with your season on the line. They're the #1 team in the country for a reason. Just how big of a win was that against Farragut to kind of let y'all control your own destiny toward being on the other side of that bracket?
That was very important because obviously we struggled in the game against Lenoir City, and so having that win obviously put us in a good position because they're such a good team and they have a lot of good players. So that game was kind of, it had a nervous energy that like fired us up going into it, but then especially sealing the deal and winning it, it put us in a good position for going into districts.
You mentioned that Lenoir City game. How much of a wake-up call was that for y'all? Y'all haven't had too much struggle like that in y'all's careers here, but to tie that match against Lenoir City, just how much did that kind of wake y'all up?
It was definitely a wake-up call because Lenoir City has gotten a lot better since last year, but it was just realizing that like we had been very banged up and we had a lot of injuries, especially playing a back-to-back game against Oak Ridge. It was definitely something to show us that we had to have the effort and energy in our following games to make up for that. I wouldn't say it was a mistake. It was definitely something that we could learn from, but it was not our best game, I'd say.
Kate, Taylor mentions the injuries, but y'all have also been forced to replace a lot of players from a year ago. Taylor's sister Mackenzie on the back line that you had and all that stuff. It's kind of what has been the process of kind of adjusting to this new team that y'all have this season.
It's been a hard beginning process, having to bring up younger players, especially with the mentality of we did lose a lot of players. We did lose a lot of people in the back line and especially in the midfield, having to start off by bringing up people who have never even played this level of soccer and having to build their own mentality. Like, we have a couple defenders and midfielders who have never played games like this before, and they've had to take the mental steps back to realizing this is it is a wake-up call for them. They have to adapt to it. And I will say a bunch of our freshmen and sophomores and people who have joined the varsity team this year have done a really great job at handling that. This year has definitely been a rebuilding year for us. I will say that's probably on a weaker side. Like, that was a weakness for us in the beginning of this year. But I think as a team, we're starting to see that as a really good thing. Like, we're able to adapt well.
Mm-hmm. Taylor, part of that adjustment has been making you the chess piece all across the board. I know you've played back line at times this year. You've played midfield. Obviously, you're most comfortable up top. But what has that been like for you to kind of do you just show up at the pitch any given day and be like, Coach, where are you putting me today?
I definitely like being a player that our coaches can rely on to go anywhere. And I don't mind it because, honestly, it's doing what I need to do for the team. And I don't put myself above the team. I make sure that I'm there to do what I can to make the team better, not myself better. And playing where I need to play has taught me a lot of things because, obviously, I am most comfortable at forward. But getting the chance to play back and midfield has really helped me in developing myself as a player because I'm seeing different positions. And also, I think kind of playing back has helped me as a forward because I'm seeing the other side of it and seeing how, as a defender, the way you would think to get that ball versus how, as a forward, you would.
Tuesday when y'all played Heritage and y'all won 4-1, they go up 1-0. You had been playing midfield to start, and then once they went up 1-0, you went back up top. For you, does it come with a mentality change that you have to kind of have when you go from midfield to forward there?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely does because as a midfield, like your idea is to get the ball and switch it out, and a big part of that is like finding Kayla Barr because she's up top and she's definitely one of our star players up top. So it's definitely trying to find her and like get it out of the midfield because it's definitely a dangerous place on the field. And then playing forward, it's one of those things where it's like I have to get the ball at my feet. I have to throw a move. I have to score. Like it's all on you to finish it and put the ball in the back of the net because the rest of your team is doing their part to score or to stop the other team from scoring. So you have to do your part by scoring.
I think you have 15 goals this year, and obviously Kayla's Kayla with what she's done her entire career. Just kind of what has that 1-2 punch been like for y'all throughout your careers here?
This will be my third year playing with Kayla, and so we've definitely created a pretty good bond of knowing how each other play. And a lot of my goals have just come from Kayla simply crossing the ball in, and mine are just tapping goals. So I'd definitely give all the props to Kayla for doing all the hard work. But I think that we're starting to adjust very well together because we've learned the ins and outs of each other.
Kate, the next 2 weeks for y'all are pretty grueling, whether it be, Bearden, Hardin Valley, West, I think, is next for y'all. Just kind of what is the message to kind of make sure that y'all escape this 2 weeks and feel good about where you're at heading into postseason?
I think the next two games that we play will be a lot on how our effort and attitude is coming into the games. If we go into the game saying, oh, we're going to lose, or, oh, this is going to be a really tough game, and just making ourselves really nervous about them is not what we should be doing. We should be focusing on, let's keep our energy high, let's out-attitude this team, let's be a team here. Let's support each other in our wins and our losses and our mistakes and our praises and accomplishments. Keeping each other in check and just enjoying the time that we have to even play teams like Bearden and Hardin Valley and Farragut.
Taylor, I know Kate kind of mentioned earlier about rebuilding this stuff and trying to adjust to a bunch of different players, but has the expectation changed at all for y'all? I know, obviously, this program has been to state so many times in recent years. I think you've only missed it twice since 2016 or something like that. Has that expectation changed for y'all, or do y'all still expect to be in the state tournament at season's end?
I'd say that we have a lot of confidence in our new players. Like KK, she's a back and she's a freshman, and I have plenty of confidence in her. And even in our midfield, I don't think that we should doubt them and lower our expectations because we know we have the chance to get there. And as long as we keep up the work, we could definitely get there.
Kate, how big of a game is Tuesday against West? Just knowing that is a potential team you'd play in the region semifinal and somebody that could dictate where you will be, come postseason late in the season.
Playing West?
West, yeah.
Like yesterday when we played them.
Oh, you guys played them yesterday.
We did play them.
Yes.
How'd that go? I missed that.
We lost,
No
but
comment.
It was a game that Feather told us, I just want to see your effort, and I want to see you guys work. I know you guys are tired from the past two games, two really big district games that we had to go into, and regardless of the loss, I think that we went to the game with the mentality of, we're going to work hard here today, and we did. we were all extremely tired and we were all banged up a little bit. Like, we have a couple players who are hurt, and I think regardless of how the game went, we did have a good game. Like, even though West is undefeated, we worked hard for sure.
Taylor, do y'all enjoy the competition level that is kind of in this region, whether it be a West, whether it be a Bearden, whether it be Hardin Valley, Farragut, just kind of what is that like for y'all as players, knowing that kind of every given day you have to wake up and be your best to win?
Yeah, I definitely think that the high competition only helps us, not hurts us, because even though, like, yesterday we did lose to West, one thing that Feather complimented us on was the fact that he saw us grow as a team, because, like, our backs stepped up and have been working on things that they struggled with. And so I think the competition, honestly, even though it is such a high-level district of competition, I think it helps us because we're learning how to play with high-level players and only making us better.
Kate, part of being a goalkeeper is that communication with your backline. And like we mentioned, Mackenzie graduating and kind of a freshman inside back and all that stuff. It's kind of what has been your kind of process with learning your new backline and kind of adjusting with them.
It does take a little bit to understand like where they're strong at and where they're weak at. I think that we have definitely grown since the first game we played was like Catholic at a camp to up till this point. Getting to have that personal connection with them, like off the field and off the pressure at practice, is like a good time to connect with them and see who they are. And communication-wise, I feel like it's definitely got a lot better from when we first played with everybody up until now, because now we have a bond now. Like, our team has got together and we have grown as like one as a team.
Taylor, since Coach couldn't make it today, I do want to ask you about Coach. Just what's it like playing for lack of a better word, a crazy man? I mean, I love Steve. He's great, but he's a bit insane on that sideline. Just what's it like playing for him?
Yeah, he does have some high emotions sometimes. I think that it personally for me, it fuels me to work harder because I strive to make people proud as a player. Like, I strive to make myself proud, but I also don't want my coaches to be disappointed in me. And so when he has those crazy reactions to something we do, it honestly just makes me want to play better because I don't want him to be mad. And he also is, although sometimes he has his moments where he gets a little crazy, he is a very he compliments us on what we do, and sometimes he'll even realizes his faults. Like, he'll apologize for it too. And so I think that although sometimes he has his moments, he is a really good coach. He realizes what he does and where he needs to fix it, and he's always working to make us and himself better players and coaches.
Kate, he mentioned that to me Tuesday, where he told me, sometimes I feel like I get so nervous in district games that it affects them in a way. How do you guys make sure that doesn't affect you?
I personally feed off his nervousness. I think that, and I love when a coach is like super passionate about a game and is like angry at us when there's like even the littlest things going on. There are some people who can't handle that, and I think as a team we all collectively feed off of his nervousness, which is a very good thing because there are a lot of times where he will get very upset on the sideline, and when we see that I think personally it makes me want to work harder, and I think everybody on the team looks at that and is like, let's pick it up, guys. Like, let's go. We got this. Let's make him proud.
And Kate, Taylor, I want to thank y'all for coming in this morning and talking with us. Congratulations on 2 big district wins this week, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Troy. Time for a break. And when we return, it's the sports headlines with Donnie Moore and the Goatee Sports Page Spotlight. You're listening to the Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit denzocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over...
Buy the ring.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and this week's sports headlines with Donnie Moore's coming up. This segment is sponsored by the Tennessee Smokies. Donnie Moore, a lot going on again in sports this week. Got a baseball player there for the Yankees. It's about to break an old record. In fact, I was 11 years old when Roger Maris hit those 61 home runs in the American League.
Hey.
I remember when he hit them.
Hey, today is not the day we talk about Aaron Judge's home runs. Albert Pujols hit 700 last night.
And let's say the
have some respect for Albert Pujols. And yes, the Smokies are going to the championship series. Thank you, Donnie. Go ahead, because Mike's jumping the ship.
I'm not. I'm trying to get Donnie Moore on the air. You know.
All right, here we go. Well, plans are being made if and when Yankee slugger Aaron Judge breaks the American League home run record. A vintage memorabilia company has already made preparations to offer to buy the baseball. Memory Lane Incorporated is prepared to offer $2 million if the New York Yankees star gets to 62 homers before the end of the regular season.
If.
Judge, yeah, that's what I said, if. Judge hit number 60 earlier this week, and as of this morning, has 13 games left to add to the total.
He'll get there.
The Yanks are in the middle of a homestand with the Red Sox.
Oh, he's going to get it against the Red Sox. We stink.
Yeah.
We're a horrible baseball team.
I got you. Well, on a sad note,
they don't have anybody that can throw the ball hard enough for him to hit it that hard.
We don't have anybody who can throw the ball hard enough. We don't have anybody who can swing the bat hard enough. We don't have anybody who can catch the ball in a glove. We're a bad baseball team.
On a sad note.
Before you go on.
Go ahead.
When Maris hit that home run off of Tracy Stollard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
I saw it. I saw it on television.
Yeah, I did too.
Surprisingly, and I watched the game last night. Full house watching Judge trying to tie that record and then ultimately break the record. But there was a full house there. When Maris hit that 61 home run, that Yankee Stadium was about half full.
Yeah.
There wasn't. You probably remember it, Coach Trail. We're probably the only two here, but it was a day game.
Okay.
It was a day game, and it was in the autumn. and there just wasn't very many people there. It was really late. I don't know. He was down to maybe the last couple of games.
Yeah.
To where, it was right down to the wire for him to break the record, and he broke it. But I saw all those fans, and I thought, man, what a different scene for this deal.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as much publicity over here as his deal. It was no big deal to it.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't make it a big deal.
No.
I mean, it wasn't nothing like this.
Well, a lot of people didn't want him to break Babe Ruth's record.
That's right.
It wasn't pleasant.
Well,
for a lot of people.
Well, they were comparing the number of games to the games they play now.
Yeah.
They play a lot more games now than they used to play.
Yeah.
And they were saying that he had more opportunities to do it.
Yeah.
On a sad note, Maury Wills, shortstop and base stealer extraordinaire for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he was on 3 World Series championship teams, has died at the age of 89 at his home in Sedona, Arizona. During his first stint with the Dodgers, Wills played in World Series title teams in 1959, 63, and 65. He then played for the Pirates and the Expos before coming home to Los Angeles from 1969 to 72 when he retired. Over the course of his 14-year career, Wills played in 1,942 games, batted .281 with 2,134 hits, and stole 586 bases. With his 97th steal on September 23rd, 1962, the anniversary was last night, Wills broke Ty Cobb's single-season record. He went on to become the first player later that season to swipe more than 100 bases in a single season. Another baseball legend gone, guys.
And Donnie Moore, he was exceptional on the bases, but as a hitter, he was kind of a spray hitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he
wasn't a power hitter.
He could hit the left field, right field.
Yeah,
and
he hit it anywhere.
And he could bunt.
Yeah.
But he
hit
was
it where it was pitched.
He was dangerous when he got on base.
Well, I tell you what, he was a complete player.
Yeah.
I mean, he did everything. It wasn't just about hitting home runs. I mean, he did a lot.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, my gosh, a guy like that can carry your team.
And an exceptional infielder, too.
Yeah.
Go with all of that.
Pitchers feared him.
Yeah.
Because he was likely to steal a base anytime he got on.
Not a big guy either.
No.
Not a big guy.
But he was fast.
He sure was. Well, Montreal Canadiens defenseman P.K. Subban announced his retirement this week after a 13-year career in the National Hockey League. Subban was selected in the second round, 43rd overall, of the 2007 NHL Draft and has been voted to the NHL All-Star team 3 times during his career. His retirement comes after the final season of an 8-year, $72 million contract. Subban is only 33 years of age.
Well, that's good. You get to enjoy his money.
Got a lot of life ahead of him, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah, enjoy his money. That's right, Ray. Twins All-Star center fielder Byron Buxton will undergo arthroscopic knee surgery that will end his 2022 season, the team announced yesterday. As this is considered to be a cleanup and insignificant surgery, the plan would have been for Buxton to return to the team afterward if the Twins were still a serious pennant contender. They are not, however. They're 10 games back at this point. They led the league for a while. Well, Kyle Busch is the only active 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. Kevin Harvick won back-to-back races in August, and Tyler Reddick has 4 top 2 finishes, including 2 wins since the July 4th weekend. Not one of them made it past the first round of this year's playoffs. After last weekend's chaotic 500-lap finale of the first round at Bristol, all 3 of those drivers were eliminated from playoff contention. Busch blew a motor, Reddick got caught up in a multi-car crash, and Harvick left the pits with only 3 tires on his car. The race was won by Chris
hard.
Buescher. Racing's tough, isn't it, guys?
3 tires.
Yeah, I don't think you can finish with 3 tires on your car.
I don't think you can get started with 3 tires.
Nope.
Hey, Don, before you go, Kyle Busch, some big news coming out on him here pretty soon. Looks like he's going to drive for Arrow in the Indy 500. They're
Yeah.
going to enter another car, which
That's right.
which is really big news. That means if Jimmy Johnson's deal will go through again next year with Ganassi, we'll have Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch in Indianapolis 500.
That's right.
I think that's a great step
I do
forward
too.
for auto racing. I'd like to see some of the IndyCar drivers drive Daytona.
I would too.
And mix that up. I think
would
that'd
too.
be great for
Yeah,
American
I do too, Mike.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great thing for the sport.
Yeah.
Well, the St. Louis Cardinals slugger Albert Pujols secured his place in history last night when he became only the fourth player in the annals of Major League Baseball to reach 700 career home runs with a 2-homer game against the Dodgers. Pujols joins some of the greatest sluggers in the game, namely Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. Only 4 of them have hit 700 homers. I got a Goatee Sports Page trivia question for you here.
Hey.
See if anybody can answer this.
It's going to be better than what Marcus threw at you a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
It couldn't be any worse.
See if anybody can answer this question. Who led the 1961 Arkansas Razorbacks in fumble recoveries?
61. Were you there, Trail? 61?
Yeah.
Anybody answer that question?
Was
I
it
don't
Jerry
know.
Jones?
No.
It was not Jerry Jones.
Thank goodness.
Ray Trail.
You're right. It was Ray Trail.
Hey!
He led the 61 Razorbacks in fumble recoveries with 4.
4
fumble recoveries.
Did you get to keep those balls when you recovered them?
That just means he was out of position. When the ball got fumbled, he just happened to be right there when it came out.
It was Ray Trail.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ray.
How come you were never making the tackle, Ray? How come you kept picking up the fumble? Make the tackle. Knock it out.
How many of those did you return for touchdowns?
Probably none.
He covered them.
I got the ball back. That's the main thing. That's
4 fumble recoveries.
All
That's a
right.
great job, my friend.
All right.
That's
1961.
Yeah, tell us about that team. What kind of team you have in 61?
I think we won the championship in
Southwest
61.
Conference,
Yeah.
right?
And in 62, when Ray was a senior, he was all Southwest Conference.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Most valuable player.
MVP.
I don't like saying nice things about Ray.
Hey,
It's not,
I like it.
Not nearly as fun.
I like it.
Is that why you're squirming over there?
Yeah.
That
Really
was a
uncomfortable.
Goatee Sports Page trivia question.
Hey.
And now, that's it for this week's Goatee Sports headlines. Let's focus on the spotlight. Back to you, Gunner.
Hey, and that MVP that you got in the Southwest Conference, that's when they was loaded with good teams,
Yeah,
wasn't it, Coach?
yeah, boy, I tell you what. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what,
boy.
that we had the full crew there on that outfit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, now that was we had a good team. I tell you, we had
Sure
had
did.
speed. Old Lance Allworth.
Well, that's a great
He
one.
ran the 9.6 on the track, but he pitching that ball on the sweep, buddy. You better be on your horse if you was a pulling guard.
And you had to go through Texas every year.
Oh, yeah.
Darrell
Yep.
Royal to
Yep.
get there.
Yep. Had some good teams out
Yeah.
there. They had some good teams.
That trivia question was provided to me last night. Gary Stenick called me
There
and
you
gave
go.
me that
There you go.
trivia
Well, Donnie, you
question.
did
Gary's running out of things to do. Isn't he?
I didn't. No, I didn't. That's right. Tell us about that.
Well, the Smokies were I can't remember who they had in
They
the semis.
Was it
But
the
they won
Pandas?
last. Yeah, they won last night, so they're going to the Southern League Championship.
Southern
Series.
League
Another,
championship game.
another tough loss for Marcus last night. He loves the Trash Pandas, and they
I know,
and
but
they,
they
and
were
lost.
The Smokies dropped the first game to the Pandas, and it was a 3-game series, so they had to win 2 in a row,
Had
and
to
they
come
did
back
that.
and
So,
did.
and so the
Won 2 in a row.
The
That's
Smokies
right.
will play for the Southern League Championship.
Great.
Congratulations to
Great.
our Smokies.
And it's
I
been
think
a while.
that's good.
You know, I want to say it's been about 7 or 8 years since the Smokies have been in the postseason, even been
Yeah.
able to play for it.
I don't necessarily know what a AA championship means, but go Smokies.
Anytime you're on a team,
They're-
if you
they're a
win the
sponsor of the show.
championship, that's a good
Hey, I hear
thing.
you.
That's
I'll
right.
tell you,
Either-
I'll take that every time.
Well, let's see. The last time that was going on was the roster that basically ended up being the Cubs starting lineup
Chris
in the
Bryant
World
and them.
Series.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
sponsor the show, and hopefully they win, so they can come and bring the trophy to us.
Exactly.
And I
We'd
can
love to see
and
that.
then I can steal it.
And speaking of championships, the UT basketball team last week got their SEC tournament championship rings. Coach Trail, did you see those rings they got?
No, I didn't see them.
You didn't see them? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, for you and I's sake, if we'd gotten one the size of those rings, we'd have to wear them around our wrist.
Bigger than mine?
They'd have to wear them around their wrist. Yeah,
Bigger than that?
Bigger than both of them combined.
Yeah, you got your SEC coaching.
That's a national championship ring.
That one right there, the Tennessee ring, and then I got my mine looks. Well, both of them look like they come out of gumball machines compared to what they give out this week. I'm telling you.
Look at that.
I know it looks like a paperweight, but
That's a ring right there.
But them things they gave out this week, I'm not kidding you. They were that big around.
Wow.
Troy, I want you to do a little research for me. I want to know if those were diamonds in there. I mean, that top of that ring was just nothing but diamonds. It looked like diamonds in there, and it was about that. It was about that big around. I don't know how you get it on a finger.
That's what I was thinking. How you wear that?
I don't know. I guess you just put it in the lock box, and several years down the road, you see how much you can sell it for. I guess I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah,
it's like a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I think those are real diamonds.
Yeah, real diamonds. Well, we need to go over and have ours redone, don't we? And get some of those diamonds put in.
Made up here.
Yeah.
I don't believe those are real diamonds.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
You think those are zirconia?
Well, you know, those little bitty diamonds don't really cost that much.
No, they're not that expensive.
No, they're really not. No. It's when you get on up to that 1 carat and on up.
We'll just go over and ask for one.
Well, we just take a part of it.
The ones like Sandy's got.
Yeah. Maybe Sandy can take one out of her set and put on your championship ring, huh? That'd be good.
Yeah, she could.
We'll give her a call.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to go very far.
No, I'll tell you what, you're not going to touch that ring with hers.
Hey, let's talk about some SEC games today in Arkansas. Here we are talking about Coach Trail, and we got number 10 Arkansas, undefeated at 3-0 and 1-0 in the SEC. They're at the number 23 Texas A&M.
I know why Mike put
Texas
this game
A&M
on the top.
is 2-1. The A&M is a 2-point favorite going into this game today. That game's 7 o'clock on ESPN. A&M last week got the big win over Troy's Miami Hurricanes. Miami went into Texas A&M and decided that they would practice field goals. Remember that? Every time they got down there, they
field goal.
Field goal. Let's kick a field goal. It's 4th and 1. Let's kick another field goal. You know.
That was the dumbest game I've ever seen.
I don't know, but Texas A&M. Not very many people, thought they would come out. But anyway, they're at home against Arkansas, and Coach Trail Arkansas didn't impress a whole lot of people last week either. Bobby Petrino came in to Fayetteville with his Missouri State team, and by golly, they just about got them, huh?
Yep, that happens. I tell you what, in those games. And I've played in some of them. Mm-hmm. They are hard to get ready for, and because everybody's running around saying, "Who is Missouri State?
Right?
Who is Missouri?" And football and baseball, basketball. When you lose that little edge, it neutralizes everything.
Yeah.
I hate to play those games. I hated to coach in them. I hated them because, you had everything to lose and nothing to win. You beat Missouri State. Big deal.
You remember years ago, Gordon Pulaski was on the show.
I remember Gordo.
And those guys, and we were sitting up there, and Tennessee was going to play Butler.
Yeah.
They was going to play them Butler up in some tournament up in the East there, and we was talking here, and I said, I'm going to tell you what, you better watch out for Butler. I said, they got great basketball tradition. This was before everything materialized with them. They go, really? And they went up there, and Butler beat them, and the next week we come back in there, and them guys were going, where is Butler? Where is Butler?
I don't know.
I never heard of them. But we know of them now.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
They've turned into a pretty good program, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But I kept watching that game last week, and I kept thinking, well, Arkansas is going to pull away. Arkansas is going to pull away. And they finally did in the fourth quarter, but with about 10 minutes to go, it didn't look good at all for them. Sort of like the South Florida game last week.
I tell you what, like I said, as a player and as a coach, that's the toughest game you'll play.
Yep.
Is in the middle of your season, you have some team like that, and you've been busted in the gut, and then all of a sudden you see a swag, comes in your team, and it looks like everybody's taking the day off.
Yep.
And that's the way they think, you know. I mean, they go, well, this is nothing. This is nothing.
There you go.
But
there you
go. Never know.
Hey,
But
Marcus.
I thought it was funny with Trino.
Yeah, we talked about him riding the motorcycle in with the cheerleaders on the back, making
Man.
fun of him, and just about won the game.
Yeah, he probably rode his motorcycle down there.
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, the winner of this game moves on. You know, in the West there, as far as competing with, well, you got to say Alabama, and, you know, favorite over there, and some of the other teams. That's a hard division, but this game at Texas A&M, and Texas A&M hasn't played real well. It's sort of like Florida. You know, they're sort of like Florida's played this year.
Yeah.
You know, they
got the talent.
You don't know when you're going to play. You're sitting here waiting to play. But how do you feel about Arkansas and Texas A&M today?
I'll say I feel like we're going to see a repeat of what we saw last year. It won't be as surprising. But if you remember, Arkansas went to 4-0 last year beating Texas A&M. And that was kind of the wake-up call to the SEC West was there's something going on. Arkansas is back. And that was when everybody kind of realized what kind of season they were headed for. And this year I think we expect it more. It's not going to seem as unsurprising, unrealistic for them to beat A&M and be 4-0 and be right there in the polls looking in position to, you know,
well,
a stumbling block to
I'm
Alabama.
going to call Jerry Jones and adjust the scoreboard. That's his old place, isn't it? They're playing. They're not playing.
No, they're not playing.
Well, they're playing at
I got it at Texas A&M, but actually it's being played there at
Jones's place.
Yeah, Jones's.
I don't think you can call that a neutral site. But it's in Texas. I like Arkansas being able to make a statement today.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Texas A&M, Troy, they are really struggling offense. And I know you probably didn't see the game because you were at the UT game last week, but they won that game with defense. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M beat Miami with defense last week. They didn't beat them in offense in any way. I don't know whether they can keep with Arkansas's offense or not. I don't know.
I would argue that they won because Miami's coach lost his balls, but, I mean, whatever way you want to look at it is fine. You can look at it however you'd like to.
Yeah.
Miami did what?
Hope Miami's coach lost his balls last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully he found them
well,
this week. That'd be nice.
They believe in that
lost
field.
His balls?
Yeah.
What balls?
When you have 4th and 1 and 4th and short over and over and over again on the 20-yard line, why don't you go for it and try to punch in a touchdown? You're not going to win with 4 field goals.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
Why don't you try to put it in the big square? You know what I'm talking about?
He should have called you.
Yeah.
I mean, you.
He probably should have.
Yeah.
Well.
So, yeah, I think that's a bigger reason why Miami lost a football game last week is that he just misplaced some things hanging between his legs, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Hopefully he finds them this week and get on board against Middle Tennessee State.
As the game went on, he got a lot of respect for Texas A&M's defense. That's why he went for them field goals.
They drove the length of the field every time. Right down the field they marched, and then they get to the 20-yard line. It's like they ran into a brick wall.
Who's the coach at Miami?
Mario Cristobal.
Right, came from
He didn't have a good week last week. I like the guy, but he just didn't have a good week last week.
A couple of teams in the SEC, a couple other games. Missouri, 2-1, is at Auburn, 2-1. Auburn is a 7-point favorite. That game's at 12 o'clock on ESPN. Coach Trell, this is a couple of teams that's really trying to find some identity.
I tell you what, but it's a big game. It's a big game. I tell you what now, what's Auburn, 2-1?
2-1.
Missouri 2-1. You go to 3-1. I mean, in the SEC, any game you play within the conference is a big game, and you know, I think Auburn's only favored because they're playing at Auburn.
Yeah,
I think that's why they're favored.
They were only a 3-point underdog to Penn State last week too. And boy, I'm telling you right now,
they got bombed.
We'll talk about this in a second, but I thought Penn State got took in the polls this week after beating them like they did, and they didn't hardly move them at all in the polls. Top 10, top 20.
I tell you what, now Penn State looked like a team. I tell you, second half they looked like a team.
Drilled them. Woo! But anyway, this will be a closer game, Troy, with Missouri today, but it is a big game for both of them. I don't know whether the Auburn coach, if he loses today, I don't know how much longer he's going to. Can he make it through the year?
That is the most intriguing part about this game is if Brian Brady, whatever his name, who cares? He's bad. He doesn't deserve a first name. If Harsin loses, does he keep his job? I don't know. He probably doesn't deserve it if that's the case. I mean, he just has not.
Well, spell his name right because U-Haul's going to need it when they show up at his house on Sunday morning.
I just don't know what his first name is. It's Brian Brady Bryson. It's B.
I don't know, but I tell you, I agree with you.
If they lose today, he's canned.
Beat by Missouri.
And Missouri's bad.
Yeah, well,
this is two bad football teams playing today.
Yeah, but
he's
just on the limb.
You know what?
And I think both. I'm not. Drink is also on the hot seat because they look bad as well.
Missouri's got to be scratching their heads out there, for getting into the SEC, leaving the Big 12, getting the SEC. No, the money was there, but you look at it. If they'd have gone to the Big 10. They would have put them in the Big 10 West. They would have been in there with Minnesota, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Purdue. I mean, they would have been away from Penn State, Michigan State. They're all Ohio State. They're all over on the other side, Michigan.
Yeah.
And it would have been a whole lot better situation for them, and probably even in basketball. I don't know, but here they are.
Yeah.
Here they are, and boy, they're up to their eyeballs.
They are struggling.
Their eyeballs.
Oh.
How about?
I tell you, Auburn is too, though. I tell you, they ain't gonna put up with much more of this. Getting beat down there. I tell you that. Now Alabama will beat them.
Hey, how about? Marcus, how about Vanderbilt? 3-1, 3-1, and they're going down to play number 2 Alabama. Alabama's 3-0. Alabama, I think, this morning is a 37.5-point favorite. That's a SEC game, 37.5
Mike
points.
went diving in the dumpsters to break these games down today. We're not even talking about good games.
Well, that's all that's left. Everything else is.
Well, no, there's a big one down there.
Everything.
Your boy Shane Beamer gets a chance to bounce back after his star quarterback Spencer Rattler went 13 for 25 for 118 yards and 2 interceptions last week.
23.5 points.
Marcus,
would you give the Commodores a little bit of hype here? Right, they are 3-1, 3-1, and their only loss is to an undefeated Wake Forest team that's only a 7-point underdog to Clemson today. Go ahead, talk.
I'll tell you. Well, I have trouble following the reasoning that you can buy a cupcake and it's a bad thing for Tennessee, but it's okay for Vanderbilt to feast on those things for 3 wins. I mean, they're on a sugar high. They've been eating those cupcakes.
And they're criticizing the dog out of them because they've played nobody. Huh?
I mean, if you want to buy –
half their team was eating pineapples on the sideline while they were playing Hawaii in week 1. And they turned around and beat Elon.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Elon had football.
They
might not have football.
We're 3-0, and Vandy's 3-1, Coach Tripp, but they ain't played nobody over there.
We ain't played nobody.
They played Elon.
That's a good comment, Marcus. I like that.
Elon went to their dorm room. They picked 11 guys out of the dorm room. They put pads on them that night, and they played Vanderbilt.
Troy,
at least Akron has had a football program
Brian
for a
Johnston
while.
On the phone so we can get a new shirt made up on it. Troy Provo-Heron, Mr. Mid-Major.
Mike,
Mr. Mid-Major.
Mike, I want you to.
I love him.
Mike, I would like to go back.
We've
to
got
Spencer.
New Mexico at LSU today. You like? They're tough.
Boy, I tell you what.
And Bowling Green's at Mississippi State, and Kent State's at Georgia.
Well, Bowling Green doesn't even have a coach.
Who's at Georgia?
Hey,
Bowling Green's coach is having to stay out.
Guys, this is an important one. I don't want to hear you slander Bowling Green after they beat Marshall, who beat Notre Dame, by the way. Bowling Green beat Marshall last week. Mike came in here and said all these things about Marshall, such a good football program, lost to Bowling Green last week.
They are a good football program. I think Marshall's a good football program.
You missed the last one there.
Really do.
Your boy Spencer Rattler gets a big redemption moment this week against Charlotte.
Okay, we're going to move on, Coach Trail, and we're going to talk about who last week out of 5 games, who picked the most, and we'll go on.
Talk about that.
Are we ready to get out of here? All right. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's Hot Takes with Troy and Marcus. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports, sponsored by Shelter Insurance.
For over
50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the panel's bold predictions this week, sponsored by Shelter Insurance. Troy, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, Mike's been waiting for this all week because, as we know, last week we had a lot of fun at the expense of Mike. He couldn't.
My gosh, I just got back in town and you just annihilated me. You couldn't, and you're doing a pretty good job here this morning. I'm melded down to pretty much nothing right now. I feel like Tom Thumb.
Last week we made a lot of fun of Mike because he couldn't pick a correct game if he had a flashlight in the dark. But we will have to give credit to Mike this week. He was the only person on the panel to have a winning record last week in picking. And outside of Mike, guys, we have to be better. We were embarrassingly bad last week. Embarrassingly bad.
Give them what my totals were.
Can you wait a second?
He doesn't want to admit
he was going to jump right over to Notre Dame again.
Mike Edwards went 4-1. A big week. The only one he missed was he had no faith in the Vols.
I couldn't believe
it.
But
only one person had faith in the Vols last week. And it was this guy here.
But, man, I was 47.5 points. I was thinking, can they be that bad? Can Akron be that bad?
Mike, I'm gonna actually share a betting story.
They were that bad.
I'm gonna share with you guys a betting story since we have a lot of time in this segment this time. I had the under last Saturday night in Neyland Stadium. It was 68.5. As you guys know, Akron kicked a sad field goal. They were on the 30-yard line. They were down 50-something points, and their coach, again, just didn't have the stones to go for it, decided to kick a meaningless field goal. And then Tennessee got the ball back. I think they were at 61, so a touchdown. They're at 62 points total. A touchdown does me in. There's about 2 minutes left. I'm thinking Tennessee's not going to go down the field and score here, right? They got the third-string quarterback in, the third-string offensive line, third-string running back. They were picking guys out of the stands to play receiver.
And there was only 2 left in the stands at that time.
I would love to have a conversation with Josh Heupel. He was throwing the ball up 56 points with 2 minutes left, and not just throwing the ball like slants. They were chucking the ball 20 yards downfield. And so I'm sitting there, about 13 seconds left on the game. Tennessee's at the 1-yard line. I'm thinking, all right, they're just going to take a knee, right?
No,
the quarterback walks into the end zone. I lose the bet. That was maybe the toughest betting loss I've ever had in my life. It really soured an otherwise celebratory experience for me at Neyland Stadium last week. It was sad. That's what I got for it.
I'm sorry that you had too much icing on your chin up there from that cupcake.
Yeah. Well, it gave me a reason to stay till the end of the game when I was sitting on top of the O. Did you guys see me on television? I was sitting up there. I was the only guy.
I thought it was a bird.
No, it was me. It was me. I was on top of the O.
I thought you had a parachute strapped to your back up there.
All right, Edwards wants me. So Edwards went 4-1. He is now above 500 for the season at a beautiful 8-7.
Hey, you're clawing your way back, Mike.
Still in the cellar is Marcus Fitzsimmons, who just can't seem to get out of his own way. He went 1-4 last week. He's 5-10 on the year.
There is a method to the madness, and we will get there.
We will get there when? Around week 12? Donnie Moore, also 1-4.
Yeah,
you dipped below 500 at 7-8 on the year.
Good day.
Ray Trail, you were in the lead. 1-4 last week. You're also 8-7, tied with Mike at the top of the leaderboard. And I went 2-3. Somehow I was the second best last week, and I'm at 7-8, a game back of the leaderboard. And I fully intend to get on top this week. And so we will start, men, with number 5 Clemson at number 21 Wake Forest. Hold on, I forgot to write the line down on my list. Does anybody know this one off the top of their head?
-7, I think.
It is Clemson -7.5.
Okay.
Mike, you will start us off.
You started me off last week. How about I start off again? Okay.
You win 4-1.
I really like Wake Forest. I think they're playing really well, but and they got some momentum, and they got that big win over Vanderbilt, and so I'm not going to pick them though.
Well, you're taking the points. You can take Wake Forest with the points.
I'm taking Clemson. And I'm taking the 7.5, but I'm not feeling real good about it. Clemson hadn't impressed anybody either.
That's what you love to hear when you make a pick. I'm not feeling real good.
You know,
not feeling it, but I'm going to take it.
I'm not feeling it, but I'm feeling it more for them than I am for Wake Forest. So I'm taking Clemson.
Donnie Moore.
I'm going to take Clemson in the points.
Marcus, come on now. We need you to start adjusting here and making some changes to your strategy.
I'm going to say Wake. I like the basketball school in this one.
The Deacons.
This one is really hard for me. And Ray, you're going Clemson as well. I'm going to go Clemson. I don't like it. I'm not.
You're not feeling it either.
No, I'm with Mike. I don't like. You know what? Well, I'm going with Wake.
Okay.
I'm going with Wake.
If that makes you feel good,
I'm going with Wake.
It.
I like their quarterback. They got some good players.
Yeah.
They got that big win over Vanderbilt, like Mike mentioned. I'm going with Wake. I don't know how good Clemson is my question. I just don't know how good Clemson is. Number 10.
Wait a minute, you get Crow yet?
He said Clemson.
Yeah. Oh, he did? Okay.
He didn't have any money.
Okay, he didn't have anything to say.
He doesn't like the Demon Deacons.
Okay, all right.
Number 10 Arkansas at number 23 Texas A&M. Now, Ray, before I turn to you here and let you pick, I want to let you know. Last week I felt like Miami got disrespected. They lost. Don't fall into the same trap I did. Just pick the Aggies. You can go ahead and pick the Aggies if you want.
No, I'm picking Arkansas. I never pick against my own team. I don't care if they were down 40 points. I'd still pick them.
Mike, what do you got?
Well, I'll tell you what. Texas A&M hasn't shown much offense, but Arkansas didn't play real well last week, so they were probably looking ahead, you know. And I do like Arkansas, I really do. But when you're kicking a dog and he's down, sometimes they fight harder. I'm going to pick Texas A&M. I'm going to take Texas A&M and the -2.
What's the line on this?
-2. Texas A&M is -2.
2. Wow. Well, I picked A&M a couple times before and got burned.
But you picked them last week against Miami, and I think Did you pick Miami? No, you picked Miami last
week.
week.
I picked Miami last week.
So that you also got burned picking against A&M.
Yeah, I did. You're right. And it's at A&M, right?
It is at A&M.
No, it's in Dallas.
Dallas. Oh, okay.
It's in Texas.
But it's in Texas.
It's in Texas in the stadium owned by an Arkansas alum.
Yes, you're right. It is.
Oh.
I'm going to pick
a home game for Arkansas. Jerry has all the controls in the stadium.
Well, that's basically a pick 'em.
It is.
I'm going to pick the Hogs.
Picking Arkansas.
Yeah.
Marcus, what you got?
I'm going with Arkansas on this one.
Mike, you're all alone on an island, buddy. I'm going with the Razorbacks. Woo pig.
Okay, that's good that you're going with them because I feel a lot better if you're picking them.
Well,
Sam Pittman's Hogs.
The next one is the Brian Brady Harsin Bowl. Missouri at Auburn. Auburn a 7.5-point favorite. Which dumpster fire team are you picking, Ray Trail?
Oh, that battle of the mullets. I tell you what, it's at Auburn.
It's at Auburn.
I'll pick Auburn.
Yeah,
Mike, what do you?
I picked them last week and got burned.
Well, pick them this week.
I'm not feeling good about any of these picks this week.
You want to start over?
Yeah.
You want some more teams?
You're asking me to pick between Missouri and Auburn.
You want a
I
mulligan?
got a better game
want a
in the
mulligan
country
on
than
that
that.
one?
Well, I said
It's supposed to be hard.
You're playing at
yes.
Auburn.
Okay.
I mean, you got two.
I know. They played at Auburn last week. Auburn, all the way around the table. And I picked the Nittany Lions, and it was.
So you're picking Missouri?
No.
You did
You're
good.
picking Auburn.
No, I'm picking Auburn. I don't like them, but I'm picking them.
Donnie?
I don't like them at all.
I'm with you. I don't like them, but I'm going to pick them this week because it's at Auburn.
Marcus.
It's on
Missouri.
the plains.
That's the only reason I'm picking
Yeah,
them.
me too.
I am also on the Missouri Tigers. I picked Penn State last week. I have no faith in Harsin. I think he's a bum. Probably ready to get home and clean out his office. It's over. Today it ends. He's going home. They lose to Missouri today.
Wow.
Notre Dame at North Carolina. The Tar Heels are a 2.5-point favorite. Ray Trail, who you got? Remember, North Carolina has beaten a really good team in Appalachian State.
I'm going to pick North Carolina. I don't like that coach at Notre Dame.
Neither does Mike Edwards.
It's at,
And now it's
NC.
It's at North
What's
Carolina.
the line?
North Carolina minus 2.5. Mike, who you got?
Now here's the point of this game. Here's the point of this game. North Carolina's defense is. This is why the line is where it's at. Their defense is absolutely horrible, but they score a lot of points.
But
They
Notre
score a lot
Dame's
of points.
offense is absolutely
That's what I'm saying. You've got the
horrible.
worst defense in the country against the worst offense in the country. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got playing right there. And I saw Notre Dame play last week. I kept switching channels and I'd watched them for a while, and they were bad. And I mean when their fans are booing them, they were booing their team up there. I've never seen that it's been a long time. I'm picking North Carolina today.
Donnie Moore.
2.5, huh?
Yep.
And it's in Chapel Hill.
It's in Chapel Hill.
I don't think Notre Dame's coach is worth 29 cents.
Oh,
myself.
Well, I didn't think.
Marcus, you got an answer for us while Donnie thinks?
I'm sticking with my North Carolina plan, so I'm going with UNC on this one.
Yeah, I got to pick the Heels.
Well,
you know I'm not picking Notre Dame.
Hey, you wouldn't pick Notre Dame if they're playing Russia.
I wouldn't. And then lastly but not least, I know we're running out of time here, so this is going to be a little bit shorter, but number 20 Florida at number 11 Tennessee. Tennessee a 10.5-point favorite. Ray?
Oh, home field, I'd take Tennessee.
The Vols. Mike Edwards. 10.5.
10.5. I'll tell you what. I'm looking at these papers. I got them all spread out here, and there's nothing that tells me that this shouldn't even be a close game. But I tell you what, I've been fooled so many times. Until Tennessee can show me, until they can show me that they can beat Florida.
Negative Nancy's picking Florida.
I'm taking the points in Florida.
Donnie?
I got to pick the Vols.
Marcus.
Got to.
Florida.
Marcus picking Florida. He's got Tennessee at 5-7. He desperately needs a Florida win to keep both of his predictions. And I'm going with the Vols. Florida's not very good. That'll wrap us up. Mike.
Hey, I got one more here.
We
got to go. You don't want to talk about Indiana and Cincinnati?
No. Nobody cares about. Nobody cares about the state of Indiana.
They're undefeated. They're 3-0. Okay.
Just pick them.
No. Go ahead.
That'll do it.
Oh, the final whistle is blown. That'll do it for today's edition of the Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media and our host, Blue Tick Tatter, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron, and Brian Johnston. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
Indiana, Cincinnati. Who cares?
They're 3-0. 3-0. put Auburn